Hello, everyone. So today I want to talk about the big F, the big F word, fear. I was listening to the Jordan Peterson podcast this morning. He was chatting to a guy named John Rich, who I'd never heard of, but apparently is this long-time country songwriter out of Nashville, written hits for everyone from Taylor Swift to Faith Hill. Spent his life, hit the road at 19, lived the life, the fame, the fortune, the temptations, all that stuff. And then at 38, he apparently felt God leave the hotel room and he felt all on his own. Completely turned his life around. I'm just like summarizing the podcast here. It's a great story. And a lot of it resonated with me, obviously, because I like music. I consider myself a songwriter. That's the craft I've chosen to pursue with my life. And I always really enjoy hearing lengthy conversations from people who have done the things that I've aspired to do, and they've, just got tales of it. Another instance I can think of is hearing Russell Brand talking like 7 years ago now. It must have been 2017. But Russell Brand, he led that whole life. He was famous. He was marrying the hottest pop stars. He was, doing all that stuff, and he wasn't happy. So when I heard that conversation, I was kind of like shocked into changing course, because you hear someone that's doing the thing you want to do and they're miserable and they weren't happy, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, like that's my plan to become happy. So like, what? It's not that good. We have the benefit now of a bunch of rich and famous people telling us it's not what you think it'll be. So, I'm fortunate is I don't have to waste my life pursuing such things as paltry fame and hollow paychecks to learn that I don't want to do that. How wonderful. John Rich is another case of someone who said he preferred to be broke, but with his soul intact. He played the game and did the things you have to do to be on these labels that give you access to those large markets. Fantastic conversation. But I thought it was, for whatever reason, Jordan was talking about putting fear in the right place. And it just kind of made me start thinking about the feelings of fear and stuff I felt when I decided way back in 2020 or 2019, around that time, maybe 2008. I'm not sure when I actually made the decision that I was gonna, quit my job and make an album and just become the best singer, songwriter, guitar player, musician, whatever. Just become the best version that I can possibly become and build myself into that craftsman, because I knew I couldn't do that working full time. And so I made the leap, and I feel like that was a time in my life where my fear was in the right place. This is a video for anyone who is trying to work through that fear of, whether you want to throw your life at something. And I had a feeling that there was something I wanted to do and something I didn't want to do. And what I didn't want to do was look back and just see a life that, like, I went to that job and I went and just played that safe game and left all the art that I wanted to make, like, leave that in. Like, I knew I didn't want to do that. So there was a fear, obviously a fear of quitting full-time employment. Like, it's horrifying. Like, your brain just comes up with all of these different scenarios and simulations of like all the worst things that can possibly happen. And some of them did come true. Obviously, it's very fucking, like, you feel so exposed having a very thin bank account. But, if I look back and I'm honest, when I was working full time and getting the big paychecks, I still had a thin bank account. Like, I was blowing the money on dumb stuff. Like, I used to used to drink a heap of alcohol, used to buy just like I used to consume, to put it in a neat little word. I used to be a consumer in every sense of the word. Like, you know, I'd get a bunch of money together and be so desperate to just spend it. And yeah, I shudder to think at the dollars I've wasted in my life, but kind of throwing away that big paycheck made me better with money, because when you don't know when it's coming next, you really do think about how you're using it. And but yeah, the fear of being without money is a massive, pretty universal fear. I would assume everyone's got that fear, and it's a good fear to have. You should have you're going to need a certain amount of money to survive. One of my favorite comedians, I don't know, Tim Dillon, he quoted it's a quote from a quote of a quote of a quote. But yeah, it costs a lot to have nothing these days, as they say, just to participate in the game, have the internet, have things like that to make your little Patreon page and make your music. Like, you know, I need electricity, I need a home. Like, it costs money to participate in the game. So yeah, to conquer that fear, I had to work out how much I needed. And I saved up a lot I think I just made the decision about 18 months before I quit that I was going to quit. So I put money away. In the living situation that I had, it was enough. I collected, and I knew I had X amount of months to, you know, figure it out. And yeah, I feel like that was an instance where my fear was in the right place. So if you think about your fears, like, what are they? Are they good fears to have? Are they bad fears? And if, like, a bad fear is like things like, oh, will I succeed? Like, don't worry about that, because you don't even know what your success will be at the point before you take the leap. Like, it's a weird thing. Your brain is always making simulations and trying to guess what will happen if you do something, but it's actually pretty bad at it. Some of the things you will bump into, as I mentioned, but your brain is typically pretty, you know, it's pretty average at guessing what's going to happen. So Jordan put it, and I really liked it, and it's what prompted me to make this video, is you got to, you know, put your fear behind you so it puts you in the right direction. Like, I'm butchering. He's such a smart, well-read man. But yeah, I reacted to that. It's like you have to put your fear in the places where it points you in the right direction. And my biggest fear was being stuck in that in front of that terminal, because there were days where I would just get like red hot, like at war with myself. I would just send myself into this spiral because my body and my mind just wanted to walk out. It was crazy because I knew it was a prison, but like the fear kept me at the terminal. So the fear was in the wrong spot. Like, the fear was worrying about, you know, very short-term things, about not having the money to buy that video game, or you know, consume all that extra nonsense that really provided no value in my life. So, yeah, I heard a lot of really good. Well, actually, it's mostly comedians. A lot of Tim Dillon, actually. Like, Tim Dillon's this comedian. He's got a podcast, and I don't find his stand-up particularly, you know, elite, but his podcast, like his lone man on the microphone rants, are second to none. He's probably the best podcaster, and he says a lot of things, and they're supposed to be funny, but for whatever reason, it became self-help for me. Like, he was talking about his time at the open mic nights, and I just it resonated with me because it was exactly the experiences I had in the local metal scene. So, and all the things he went through, all the things he thought, like his impetulance of the youth and the arrogance of when things start to get going. I just resonated with the man. But he was on some rant about mediocrity, and he said something quite profound. He said survival is not just food, water, and shelter, at some point survival is about keeping the shotgun out of your own mouth, which is a brutal thing. But I like, that's what I laugh at because my life's been pretty brutal. So like I laugh at pretty dark, brutal things. Give me a sec here. So he said survival's, at some point your biggest enemy will be yourself, and the biggest threat to your survival will be yourself. And I was kind of feeling that, locked into that job at that terminal, and I'd get like red, like sweaty, just with anxiety and just like, oh my God, you run, like get in the car and drive, get away. Like this is not working. Like, so, I got over the fear of worrying about money, and shout out to everyone signed up to the Patreon. It's, really is the lifeblood. So yeah, I got over I started to fear myself because like the sheer terror I was feeling was, wasn't a good road. It was, the universe was letting me know like, hey, John, like get going, like figure it out. Like you can't stay here and do this. You may as well, surely it can't be worse than this feeling. And it's really not. Like it kind of sucks. It sucks being broke. I don't, like I know you don't get to do things. You don't get to do certain things. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to do things. I'm like, as I said, I became quite good with money, so I do put it away. And if there's an event, like one of my favorite bands, Avatar, came to Australia last year, and I was like, that's money I got to drop. Like, there's certain things you've got to, I say waste money with air quotes, but I don't like it wasn't wasted. But what was I saying? Yeah, the fear I got jumped out. There's a certain fear you'll feel before you take the leap. So that was one of my life's great fears. The fear of failure as well, because I've wanted to do this my whole life, and the last thing you want to do with the dream you've had for your whole life is fail at it. Now that I've heard that out loud, I don't actually like the term dream for it, because it's not, I'm not living a dream. I'm just living a life where I have time to do what I know I need to do. Like it's not, and it's harder. Like freedom is hard. Freedom requires discipline. Then there's a lot of material you can go and find from lots of people concerning the, like freedom and discipline are this like two sides of the same coin. And I can tell you that for a fact, because when I did quit my job, I started like drinking pretty heavily, just because every day it felt like a party. Like the freedoms, I kind of abused the freedom. And when you aren't making income, alcohol is like the worst thing you could spend. There's literally like, not only does it add nothing, it actually detracts. Like it's worse than adding nothing. It actually subtracts from you. Like it's a toxin, it's poison. Like there's no other. It might be delicious, but it's poison. Like we know that now. Like we have to be smarter about it. But the freedom is hard. So that's my, the current war I have is to, wake up and wake up when the alarm goes off. I go to the gym. I'm building a healthy body, because to be a good singer, you need to have a healthy instrument. And I've, given myself the opportunity to do the work. That, I'm not living a dream. I've just given myself the time and opportunity to do the work, because I was staying up very late. I'd get home and want to work on music and to really kind of like craft a song. You have to do a lot of listening, and not just like, if for instance, if you're trying to come up with a part, it's very important that you listen to the music that leads up into that part. So you can sense whether it's going well or it's the wrong part or something's missing. And you can't just listen to the build up to that part from like 4 bars before, or even 8. Like sometimes it's good to listen to the entire piece of music. And if that piece of music is 4 or 5 minutes long, like, your time burns up very quickly just sitting and listening for 4 minutes just to check if something's working or not. So, crafting songs in the recording sense takes a lot of time because you have to do a lot of listening. And I just wanted to give myself days to do that. Now, I've found a pretty good balance. I have a casual position just to keep the lights on and actually be able to provide. I live with my partner, and she has a career, and I don't want to be a freeloader. Like, no one wants to be, and if you do, then you're in the wrong place. I'm not going to be able to offer any advice to people who don't want to contribute and do the work. I just have a sense of call it pride. I don't know what to call it, but I just have a sense that I don't want to be a bum. So I think I probably work around 20-25 hours a week, and it's pretty constant and steady, which I'm super grateful for. But basically means I get at least 2 full days a week of working on the craft and making the music. So yeah, it's not a dream. It felt like I was going to pursue a dream when I was going to make the leap, but I definitely wouldn't have felt as much fear had I known if it was it. Part of the fear, I think, stems from it not being exactly as it is in your head. That's what creates the fear. So if you remember that it's not going to be as bad as you imagine, because, we've got to remember, and you can probably look at your own life and realize the things you've worried about, probably things aren't really as bad as you think they're going to be. Like, you walk through a door into a place and a stranger talks to you and you're like, yeah. And then at the end of the conversation, you might be like, oh, it was actually quite nice. I actually learned something. Things aren't going to be as bad as you think, but, it's also not as good as you think. I got to a point where I realized I was it would get to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'd be like, I kind of would have expelled all my creative juices for the day, because I'd wake up and be like, every day is a perfect day. I just get to wake up and make music, and I would, and then I'd get tired by 3, creative burnout, and you kind of go well, what is there to do? I may as well go down and get some whiskey or get some cider. And it just, I could just see the path I was on. I was like, well, this is interesting, because I'm making music all day, every day, and I'm still not immune to the things I do when I'm depressed and not at my best. It was very interesting. That's probably another video, but just to keep it on the topic of fear, I really liked Jordan Peterson's musings on putting your fear in the right place. So I suppose what we should be doing is writing down our fears. What do we fear, and what try and discern whether they're good fears or bad fears to have. They're probably not accurate fears, we know that, because it's all imagined, and most of fear is in the imagination. So probably a good thing if you find a moment today, write down your fears, what scares you, and take a look at them when you see them on the paper, and you'll probably feel what's good fear and what's bad fear. But it's great, put your fears in the right place and have them point you in the right direction. My big fear, as I said, my big fear was perishing in front of a computer doing data entry and admin, when I had all these creative thoughts in my head, just symphonies in my head, just trying to get out. And I knew I had to get out there and learn how to make them. I still have the symphonies in my head. I still don't feel like I'm creating the best music I possibly can, but the happiness is it's the pursuit of the work. I know at least I'm working towards figuring out how to get these symphonies out of my head. So that's the video. I hope you got something out of it. Thanks for being on the Patreon. It means so much. And I'm not buying whiskey and cider with it. I save it, and then, you know, I pay the people that I need to pay to get all this stuff sounding and looking good. So I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.